What's happening, team? My name's John Denton. If you didn't already know, thank you so much for joining me today on another video. And yes, patrons, it's finally won. It's finally won. It has been battling. This record has been battling, I think, since the very first week that I launched Patreon back in November 2019, when the world was a very different place. But SABA's Care For Me has finally won, and by a landslide in the polls. So I can finally get to do that. And I'm excited to do this one. I've heard Prom King, and I believe I've heard Life. So, you know, there are a couple of tracks that I've heard here already, but I do really rate those tracks, so very excited to hear this. If you're wondering what I'm talking about with the whole Patreon thing, if you're watching this on YouTube and wondering what I'm talking about, on my Patreon there's a link down in the description. Every single month there are 4 exclusive album reactions that are decided by the patrons. There's polls and a whole thread. Also, if you want to see this uncut, it'll be on the Patreon again for the $5 tier for team members, and that goes for every full album reaction going forward on the channel. Make sure you go and check that out if you want to support the channel. All good either way. Please do follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Can we get 3,000 likes on this video? I'm going to ask for 3k, and then I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to get involved. SABA, Care For Me, finally!
I'm so alone. But all of my friends got some shit to do, and they never cross me like bad pedestrians. I've been this awkward since adolescence, ain't no secret kept. I fucked and told my cousin I'm broke, I wasn't buzzing. I deserving all this lonely, you said.
Ooh. Yeah, flow wise, straight away, I kind of knew this was coming, right? They never crossed me like bad pedestrians. Love that bar straight away. I'm bogus, left my girl for some shorty. I can't do the accent. For some shorty, surely deserving all this lonely. Just beautiful little rhyme scheme there. Love the strings coming in and everything like that.
I'll hit you back right away. Hit you back right away. I seen that sky at home like 2 months, and I seen your ass like 2 times. Say the small talk like 2 damn no time. So raw, cause the friendships that I can't recall done turn my.
The elegance in which he's just kind of almost talking from a stream of consciousness point of view is pretty damn impressive, to be honest. I mean, how many songs do we hear these days that I did this, I did that, I did this, I did this, and there's no real chant in them whatsoever. I think there's a big problem at the moment in the current trend of hip-hop, where you've got this, which is, again, kind of talking about what's going on in his mind, but making sure it's done in a slick way, making sure there's bars, making sure there's rhyme schemes, making sure there's patterns.
You back right away. I seen that sky. I've been the same in your presence. Counting the seconds before I reply to your message. My biggest fears that I have to say that I have. Sirens on the way.
Guilty, I know one time wanna kill me. They don't know me, but they feel me. 15 years old with this stick, cause I know they serving. Pretend, but they think I'm serving. Or they think my cell phone's a weapon. Heard that the robber was a black man.
Like how this is 2 years old now, this track, and we're obviously still seeing these stories every single day, all the time, especially in the States, about the, you know, what's going on and how fucking terrifying, genuinely how terrifying it must be to be a young black man who's whether you're doing anything wrong or not, but mainly if you're doing nothing wrong, but you're just kind of existing in the world and just trying to go about your day, just trying to go about your life, knowing that there's this sort of ever-present threat that could come and take your life for no reason. I can't obviously, that I can't know what that feels like, what that damage that does to your psyche. And you know, we have a relatable character in SABA talking about depression, talking about anxiety, talking about malaise and things like that in the first half, and then cuts through it by talking about his friend getting killed, and then cuts through it again talking about this, and it's going to be relatable to different people, obviously. But I think, I say this a lot, the true skill in a great artist is being able to make the unrelatable relatable, and of course the relatable as well. But if you can do that, if you can tell somebody about how it feels to feel a certain way that they then might not be able to understand, then I think that's a real gift as a poet, as an artist, as a rapper, whatever you want to say. That's a real talent. Plus you have the sort of soft, gentle instrumentation here that really makes you want to just sit up and pay attention to what he has to say.
Up in the description, aka nigga, what is the difference? It's in the name, but we so divided, I'm from the vision. Flash that.
Broken girls, hey girl, she might help. Really, I love the story, and I think she might tell. Really, I'm
Self-awareness is amazing, really. It's like, I don't know if he's somebody that's been in therapy or somebody who just has that level of like self-analysis, capable of this is how he uses that. I'm not sure, but it's, yeah, like he just knows why he is the way he is. Doesn't mean he can stop being the way he is. It's kind of fascinating.
Quotation cause we care too much about each other. We know it ain't permanent, but temporary. Releasing your Issa Rae insecure. Collect them like Pikachu Venusaur. We go till you done on my penis or sleep.
Now that, not that it's the fastest rapping I've ever heard, but that is when you should use fast rapping. Not just like, okay, you can do it just to show that you can do it and it's like a fun thing to do, fine. But if you're going to do it for like an artistic reason, that kind of like replicated a slightly sort of manic thought process in his mind, so it's sped up. It made sense. These thoughts like firing into his brain all at the same time, so you get the extra, you know, the pace of the cadence of his voice matching the intensity of the lyrics, matching the kind of semi-manic episode that's happening in his mind. Do you know what it shows? It shows restraint. To know that you have that in your locker, to know that you can do that, but to hold it back and just use it as and where necessary to make a point. Sometimes less is more, right?
Girls, hey girl. And I like broken glass. Really, I'm not my past. Really, I snatched her soul. Fetishizing all your problems. I wanted you more since I found out you heartless. Harboring feelings for niggas who hurt you.
As somebody who fucking loves the kind of psychoanalytical elements of music, and especially rap music, I'm fucking fascinated by this. His self-awareness is mind-blowing, man. I mean, I'll just quote this whole verse. Tread like broken glass. Really, I'm not my past. Really, I snatched her soul. Really, that's not to brag. Really, when I'm alone. Really, I'm not that happy. Really, I know you're empty, but I think I can fill your glass. Double entendre, but brilliant line anyway, whether you take it as that or not. Fetishizing all your problems. I wanted you more since I found out you heartless. That says so much about her. That says so much about him. Like, I knew I was going to like this record. Was there any doubt that I was going to like this record based on having heard Prom King, based on having heard the next track? Like, obviously. But still, what a pleasure. What a pleasure.
For your shit over with, but you gon' take me back, I'm gon' convince you. Pain ain't never looked so tempting. Girl, I'm in love with broken girls. Hey girl.
Yeah, look, I have heard this before, and I have heard Prom King before, so the first time hearing in brackets, you know, if you follow the channel, you know sometimes I've heard some songs. I've heard this before. The fucking bass in this song, man. Because I can play the double bass, obviously. It's this big.
I think he obsessed with me. I say, God, that's the one. I know she would die for me. Left the city when I was just 4, none of them would get along. Mama begging hipper when it cold. I was chilling with my niggas Putin. Ice don't see, ice don't freeze, light don't leave.
Man, the light and shade, again, talking about somebody spitting double time, but it's representing that kind of manic feeling in his head, the fear of death that is sort of present in the kind of overactive mind anyway, but also in the environment.
I see Walter body cool. Wish I could switch you with mine. No, I'm no Rihanna, the core go to throw it like Donovan down a bit. I just been modeling my whole career as a Pac was. He was going for more than half my life. He got out a year and then he died. I was on a roll, talking to my father on the phone.
Ridiculous track. Even if you're not listening to the lyrics, just the way that the different elements and the music combined, from the double bass in the beginning to the double time spitting to the heavier chorus. But then you just listen to the lyrics, and again, it's that sort of deep self-analysis mixed with bleeding heart honesty, mixed with skilled lyrical rapping that really sets him apart from pretty much anybody that I've heard. I'm not saying he's the best or anything like that, because I think there are rappers that are sort of more consistently slick. He does move between slick bars and more straightforward bars, and there's no problem with that. That's not a negative. But in terms of just being able to kind of marry that very, very inwardly looking style of kind of rhetoric and narrative, and also being able to then turn it up and do something that sort of fits in a pocket of the music as well. I mean, there's not many people on that level. Like, that takes so much like musical fucking caliber to make a track like that, to make it sound like that, to make it not sound like a traditional hip hop track. yet still have elements of that. Man, that's just something to think about. And I know I've heard it before, but I've never really thought about it like that before.
This shit so y'all feel God coming. I don't get down like that road. The amount of raps just on a mission to find some. The snare, we cannot bear. All of the fucked up shit that we've been through, I got keeping us here. We be aware, but only time in the tell. Running away, running away. Everyone leaving, I ride them away, ride it away. I just got tired of running away, running away. Everyone leaving, I ride them.
I can go to the lyrics in a minute, but just listen to the way it combines that kind of old school instrumentation and the 808s come in to grumble underneath. I'll try to pull that back a little bit, so you're kind of combining the old and the new.
By the dress, I'm trying to see it a lifeless. No time for morning in my schedule. I see the right leg. Calligraphy.
No time for mourning on my schedule. Brilliant double entendre there, considering what he's saying before.
Yeah, reading the signs like I'm a highway driver. I just hit blase, hieroglyphic. I see the wall that they writing. I build a wall up in my head. Autopilot, but it felt like I was on. I sent the word out flying. Calligraphy.
Hieroglyphic, I see the wall that they write in. I build a wall up in my head.
Got tired of running away, running away. Everyone leaving, I ride them away.
Jesus, something else this, isn't it? I mean, my God. All 4 songs so far are fucking amazing. Like, amazingly good. That was just a brilliant, brilliant track. Double entendres, double meanings all the way through it. But sometimes you get double entendres as punchlines. This is more just like duality in writing that is fascinating. And then you've got the kind of like musical duality of it, like I said before, with the old school style, not even old hip hop, like genuinely old school, like old fashioned instrumentation. A lot of live instruments in there as well, I believe, or very good like approximations of them, if not. But then the newer stuff as well, and then that crazy ending that almost sounded like kind of crazed Kanye West. I mean, wow, like really.
She ain't deuces, she just mad we got to see him pout. So me and Sel, we just fought, I was walking and then he jogged me around. Yeah. I don't wanna fight no more, 'cause I'm not a fight. Handicapped man, he watched from across the street, then he ran up and hopped on me. 3-on-1, they teaming up, but me, I never think to run. They circle in the rim, he came and teamed up with me. Me and Grandpa ain't talked since I stopped attending the college. He called me, said I'm a scholar, I should be getting my doctorate. A story I could've offered some shit, not about the same topic, so she just stopped in the...
I love the fact that he's talking about, you know, physical fighting, and then it's moved into, well, a little twist on that one, and then he's talking about like actual sort of verbal fighting, you know, emotional fighting with his granddad, now talking with his girl, and he's actually getting more intense in this part. So it's like there was a bit of humour in the first part. It shows where like his mind is.
And I'ma feel muted. You say that you care, well show it. I'm not asking a lot. I know you think you listen. Get out of bed. I'm fighting myself to get out of bed. Fighting myself.
Brilliant, brilliant. Just effortless style switch to a completely different style of music, nailing it. Another great track, really good.
South, our parents from the South, and if I make $1 million.
Bass.
It couldn't pay the life I be taking for granted. Capture the moment, the cannon. My cousin be trapping, they came in the mail. I said I'm down, it's plan. How to joke. I said I'm
nice.
the mail, the rule. That mean the higher note. My grandma from Pink Hill. Flat apartment, red brick and garden. That's been forgotten. Grass all splotchy.
Reminiscent of like Mac's later music here. A similar style, just even the way that the chord structures are working. It's a nice track.
Smile, 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 smile.
Chance on this one.
Fresh log out, you get forgotten what's supposed, but a reminder just how boring I like. If I just wanna follow back, maybe 10 to your fall. Play back, say that. That's just the way that the game go. After the rain, it's a rainbow. Independent is my fear. Got me back to my fear. Censoring out what you watching. Internet story, yeah, I'll be your friend, but you cannot follow me. If you press log out, you get forgotten what's supposed, but a reminder just how boring I like. I seen us selecting.
Really enjoying this one. Just such a smart track. Obviously a subject matter that we all think about all the time, I think, these days. Especially at the moment. It's like kind of stuck in a house anyway. But yeah, just interesting. Not necessarily maligning social media and the internet. Not necessarily massively positive. Just kind of exploring his thoughts. That's what I get from this, exploring his thoughts. Not necessarily preaching. I don't think, just exploring his own thoughts on it.
Want handouts, everybody got pamphlets, everybody wants Santa, everything is on camera, ain't nobody got dandruff, don't nobody like selfies on their own page. I know people with their friend requests as their homepage.
Interesting track. Yeah, Chance's verse wasn't amazing, but I like the line "Don't nobody like selfies on their own page," like a sort of reference to self-care and all that sort of stuff, and self-love, I guess. Interesting track. Yeah, really, just a smart track, and it was kept nice and short and abrupt, so it didn't like over labour the points he was trying to make and over labour the thoughts that he was going to go into.
The best song was probably Label me with them niggas. Infatuation with plastic, I wanted it to be realer. First they wanted it hip-hop. About the pressures of the label and what it take to get paid for. Discovering art they ain't no existed, I know it ain't. So back then, hey, why the hell are they signing? Cause Stitcher wanna be Walker and Walker wanna be driving.
Sidda wanna be Walker and Walker wanna be driving. That's, yeah, thinking about that. It's almost like, is he like conjuring up a chicken and egg type scenario? Obviously it's interesting what he's saying about labels there, but yeah. Like he's somebody that I definitely relate to, like the duality in his thoughts, and you know he's always considering sort of both sides in an argument, and then stuck in this grey. Actually, yeah, that's what the grey is in this area, because he has his thoughts and then he's contradicting himself. God, it's exhausting. It's exhausting having cognitive dissonance all the time. Trust me. But it makes for some very, very interesting art. Grass is greener as well. Like Sidda want to be Walker and Walker want to be driving. You know, interesting. Super interesting track again.
Like Oedipus had to be swayed in the morning, painted that pain like a portrait. Action, I ain't for the talking, ain't for the fame, but the fortune cool. Alternate altitude, consecutive. I told you, look, everything is great, everything is great, everything is great.
Man. Another brilliant song, and you're going in kind of Kendrick Lamar, this Dick Ain't Free. It's like a crazed delivery over a sort of rapidly shifting jazz beat there. But again, listen, I'm trying to, like, I don't want to sit and break down every single bar and study the genius and stuff like that, because I want my own interpretations as well. And this is the first reaction. But there's so much in these songs that I just know I'm going to go back and hear extra things and think different things. And they're open-ended as well. You're living in the grey with a lot of these songs. But you know, like, I love the fact that on this channel we can do albums like this, and we can do some pop music, or we can just do some fucking filthy toxic trap music, and other stuff as well. Maybe even, you know, like rock and metal. Who knows? Who knows where the views will go? Who knows where the channel will go? But this will always, always, always be something that drives a huge part of the channel, because not only is it like musically so good, it's so enjoyable to listen to, we're, you know, talking about flow, instrumentation, all that sort of stuff. But as somebody, you know, I'm a big person into like psychoanalysis and thought process and getting inside people's heads, and that's, you know, part of how I've managed to make a career, I guess, out of providing content. You have to be able to be in your own head and be in potentially other people's heads. Anyway, that's another story for another time. I love artists who are like that. That's why I love Earl Switcher. That's why I love SABA. SABA's easier to understand than Earl Switcher. But also, you know, all the conscious and lyrical guys. But as hip-hop's shifted in a way, and certain artists have shifted in a way to truly talking about their own thought processes and truly talking about, you know, complicated things like depression and anxiety and mental health and stress and pressure and all that sort of stuff, and the breakdowns of different things, I find it fascinating to look at and try and get as much out of as possible, and being able to do it on camera is just a real privilege. It really is. Okay, there's a reaction to Prom King over on Rock Reacts. I'm going to listen again, absolutely. I know it has a central story, but given how long ago I reacted to it, I can't quite remember what it is. So I'm going to go and enjoy it again. But bear in mind, it won't be like a raw first reaction. But if you do want to see that, just I'm sure you can search it up, Prom King reaction. I'm sure it'll pop up from the Rock Reacts days.
This remind me of before we had insomnia. Sleeping peacefully, never needed a pile of drugs. Everybody was college bound, never wrote me back. I had him back like, yo, well, fuck her, it's on to the next. I wrote that message thinking I'm awkward, probably never had sex. Never really got along or used to kick it. In fact, if I remember vividly, he picked on me. He used to beat me up and take my sneakers every family visit.
Imagine, this is brilliant anyway. It's brilliant storytelling, and I'm starting to remember the story. But just imagine having the audacity to rap this kind of story over this type of beat. Sounds like a beat from the music that they listen to in Wally, like with the crackly vinyl elements as well. Audacity.
Worst come worse, her mom could take us out, call Walter, thank him. He said don't trip it, just wear black. He said she cool and they go back. He on the bus, me I get a ride. I gave him 30 on the porch, he never went inside. The Prom, I couldn't sleep, I stayed up. My granddad gave me a condom, then walked away, didn't say nothing. Gave it the croissant, a corsage, or whatever the fuck my mom handed me and said, now put it on a hand, Malik. Family ties, my grandfather taught me how to tie for tie, cause my dad brought for his hooping, him and his coach got into it. Now he back home doing music. Ay, I get caught up, I'm playing Walter, I'm a product of my age.
It's such an amazing track, isn't it? It's such an amazing track. You think it's going one way and then it's going another way. You think it's going this way and then it's going another way. And then I think I know what's coming from remembering it, but my memory is awful. But I'm pretty sure it's referenced throughout the rest of the album, which is why I wasn't bringing it up. Here we go.
The car, but somehow they didn't hit him. Sometimes I fucking hate Chicago, cause I hate this feeling. Innocent niggas get shot at in the broad day, the AM. Yeah, 6 months pass by, every day we celebrate, every day a better day. I just dropped bucket list, water about to drop a tape. Cause what I was doing 2 a day, sending me links to something that he made. Kid Cudi, we are not riding away. Malik, have you or Squeak talked to my son today? He was just on the train.
Ghetto, oh, the streets bring sorrow. Can't get up to date with the schedule. I just hope I make it to tomorrow.
It's fucking that's a masterpiece. It's such a fucking harrowing and sad story, but it's a masterpiece of twists and turns and foreshadowing, plus the foreshadowing in the beginning of the album, plus the manic jazz drums and the kind of like whiplash jazz drums towards the end and his fucking frantic delivery, and then obviously the outro from John Watt himself. You can't say anything but superlatives about that as a track. I don't want to rave about it too much because it's so fucking sad, but to be able to put that pain in music that way and to tell that story so masterfully, it really is incredible. What an amazing track that is. And he's got to follow it with one more, so here we go.
Get a little closer, repeat. Bus driver pass me up, don't see me. Paramedic talk about what he need. He need his. I promise y'all I'm not a ghost. I promise y'all, look, there's heaven all around. No, I can't feel pain, but I can see the stars. I ain't even vain. Regardless how loud they don't hear. Walking through the crowd, they shed tears. I know I did not disappear. Uphill, I'm back to me. I see the cameraman.
This is all from the perspective of Walt. In heaven, right? Having dying in the first verse, and now having died, and I guess walking through his own funeral. How can you follow up Prom King? You can follow it up like this, to be honest.
I look like the shape of my shadow, and going through the wall. If I try touch, there's heaven all around.
A phenomenal ending and like a masterpiece of a record. There's no two ways about it. It's just a masterpiece of a record. I know it's like highly revered in hip hop circles, but I'm still surprised that it's not more sort of widely talked about. I guess it doesn't necessarily have the bangers that you can play on the radio on it. It definitely doesn't, actually. But of course that doesn't matter. But still, given that we're in a kind of post Pimp a Butterfly world in hip hop, that I think that's allowed an album like this to breathe and to have life. But I'm still surprised that it's not bigger, and perhaps, I don't know, it's not like Kendrick's out there necessarily making bangers. I'm not necessarily putting SABA on the same level yet, but there's definitely, there's a lot of comparisons to be made there. I think it's quite slick. The comparison is not even necessary. I'm just saying, like, it just surprises me that this isn't bigger than it is, but perhaps it's also bigger than it could be. Does that make sense? I don't really know what I'm trying to say. I think what I am trying to say is it's an amazing record. I mean, it really is an amazing record. Picking favourite songs, having heard Prom King live before, they still stand out. But I think Calligraphy might actually end up being my favourite song on the album. I need to listen to that again and really, really get into exactly what he's saying. But I don't have there's not a bad track on there. There's not even a slightly, everything is of a very, very, very high standard. What a brilliant, brilliant body of work. What a brilliant artist. And thank you so much for you guys. It finally hitting the top of the polls. I knew it was going to happen eventually. I knew it was going to make it. I knew I was going to end up reacting to this album. And even if to be honest, even if it didn't end up winning, I would have just done it eventually, just because so many people were asking me to do it for so long. And I was so excited to do it. But here we go. It did win. Remember, if you did want to see this uncut, that is on the Patreon as well. If you did want to get involved with the future album reactions and picking them in the polls and stuff, that's on the Patreon as well. Patreon is literally just a support structure for a channel where all the revenue does get taken, the ad revenue does get taken by the labels, but genuinely just having you guys here watching the videos, leaving a like, leaving a comment and supporting your boy, following me on socials is everything. Genuinely, that is everything. That's it from me. Real honour to be able to do that on camera, I think. Please let me know your thoughts on the record down below. Please, can we get to 3k likes on this one? Because I would like this video to get to get out there and to get to people, because there's a lot of reaction to this one, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Alright guys, I'll catch you on the next video. Alright, thank you very much. Peace.